As global tensions escalate, the world inches dangerously closer to what many fear could be World War III. With Russia, Israel, the USA, and the European Union (EU) locked in a complex web of alliances, rivalries, and proxy battles, the risk of full-scale war has never been higher. This article breaks down the current geopolitical triggers, military buildups, and possible scenarios that could lead to a global conflict now being referred to as the countdown to Armageddon. 1. Russia's expansion and military threat. Russia remains at the center of rising global instability. Ongoing Ukraine war. Despite sanctions and NATO support for Ukraine, Russia continues its offensive, seeking strategic control over Eastern Europe. Nuclear posturing. Moscow has repeatedly threatened the use of tactical nuclear weapons, prompting worldwide alarm. New alliances. Russia deepens ties with China, Iran, and North Korea, forming a formidable counterweight to NATO. Cyber warfare and energy blackmail. Russia weaponizes energy supplies to the EU and conducts cyber attacks against Western infrastructure. Russia's aggressive moves are viewed as direct threats by both the EU and the United States. 2. Israel's security crisis and Middle East flashpoint. Israel faces unprecedented regional hostility. Conflict with Iran. Iran's nuclear advancements and its support for militant groups like Hezbollah and Hamas have placed Israel in a constant state of military readiness. Expanding war fronts. Skirmishes in Lebanon, Syria, and Gaza risk escalating into full-scale regional war. Temple Mount crisis. Religious tensions have drawn condemnation from Arab nations, increasing the likelihood of wider conflict. Alliances with USA and NATO. Israel's defense relies heavily on U.S. weaponry, intelligence sharing, and NATO backing. A direct Israel-Iran war could draw the USA and Russia into opposing sides. 3. USA's global commitments and military readiness. As the world's leading military power, the USA remains heavily involved. Defending NATO allies. Washington has increased troop presence in Eastern Europe to deter Russian aggression. Protecting Israel. America reaffirms its commitment to Israeli security, including deploying missile defense systems across the Middle East. Pacific focus. Simultaneously, the U.S. must address Chinese threats in the South China Sea, stretching its military resources. Economic warfare. Sanctions against Russia and Iran have become primary tools of U.S. foreign policy, though they risk pushing adversaries closer together. American involvement on multiple fronts raises the risk of global entanglement. 4. EU's struggle for unity and defense. The European Union, though economically powerful, faces military vulnerabilities. Dependence on NATO, USA without strong collective armed forces, the EU leans on American military leadership. Energy crisis. Russian gas cuts have weakened Europe economically, especially during winter seasons. Internal divisions. Political disagreements between nations, e.g., Germany, France, and Poland, hamper a unified defense strategy. Border instability. Russian disinformation and cyber attacks fuel unrest across EU borders. Any Russian assault on NATO territory would automatically trigger EU involvement under Article 5 of the NATO Treaty. 5. Possible scenarios for World War III. Russia invades a NATO member. This would force the USA and EU into direct war under NATO commitments. Iran attacks Israel directly. Israel responds with full military force. US enters to support. Russia backs Iran. Nuclear or cyber strike. A large-scale cyber attack or tactical nuclear strike by Russia or Iran could prompt immediate global retaliation. Multiple front conflicts. Simultaneous escalations in Europe, the Middle East, and the Pacific, China-Taiwan tensions, could spark worldwide war. 6. Countdown to Armageddon. Is total war inevitable? While diplomatic channels remain open, military buildups and hostile rhetoric suggest the world stands closer to a global conflict than at any time since World War II. Analysts warn that a single miscalculation, a stray missile, a misinterpreted cyber attack, or a false flag operation, could ignite the feared World War III. Conclusion. The world teeters on the edge. With Russia, Israel, the USA, and the EU entangled in an increasingly hostile geopolitical environment, the risk of total war, the countdown to Armageddon, is real. Whether diplomacy prevails or conflict erupts depends on decisions made in Moscow, Washington, Jerusalem, and Brussels in the coming months.